Hello and welcome to this week's Uplifting Conversation. And I am so delighted to have Zita Bush from Inner Threads with me here today. Zita and I have already had a conversation before, and it is just so lovely to have you back on the show this week. So welcome, Zita.
Hi, Kay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me again, Kay. I really enjoy watching these in uplifting conversations, and I'm really honoured that you've asked me to return
Oh,
and
that's
do
wonderful.
some more sharing with you. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
fantastic. Well, I kind of feel that, when we're on the road of, well, let's say recovery, or when we are on the road of supporting ourselves, that, well, for me, uh, I've got to a stage where I feel like it's nice to give back and nice to encourage other people to do what they need to do so that they too can live with the best version of who they are possible, which is really what we are all about when we are talking about our beautiful vibrations and our beautiful way of working with the oils to create the lifestyle that you desire. So, this week's conversation is about inner alignment. Now, I'm always talking to people about stepping into our courage and moving forward with confidence, with clarity, and with the courage so that we can expand our energy, we can expand our purpose, and so that we are walking on the pathway that we are meant to be walking on. However, that doesn't just happen. It doesn't, you don't just wake up one day and go, hey, I'm there and this is all happening. And I'm,
Yeah,
functioning at 100% every day. And, it does mean that we have to work on ourselves and we have to work on our inner selves, I love the name of your business, Inner Threads, because you're always weaving together the threads of what's within, which
yeah. Oh, I think you're frozen a little bit there, Kay.
is to
Oh,
go out in.
oh, it's glitching on my end, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh, might just try going out and coming back in. So I don't know if if I'm on or Kay is.
So now I'm back on. I'm not sure where Zeta is. I'm add to stream now. Now there's two of me on.
Yeah,
I
so it
am.
froze up a bit, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know if it was
Yeah,
glitching
no,
or."
just okay. So just please bear with us. I'm seriously going to have to look at my internet, bring my provider, and see what I can do, because just lately I have not been having such good reception. So if you are listening, can you please say hello in the comments and let me know if you have lost me or if we are still here. It is one of the, and as I was just talking about things, I was just saying life doesn't always produce a simple, clear way forward. We have the bumps in the road and we have our ups and downs. Now, this week we have had, we're in the energy still of the solstice, the winter solstice here in Australia, and the summer solstice on the other side of the world, so that everybody is going through a state of flux and change. And I know, Zita, you've been feeling vulnerable in your own personal life due to various things. So And let's know in the comments, how are you feeling? Are you feeling vulnerable?
Yeah.
What's going on for you? Because we can help you walk through some of those things. Hopefully, we could address them in the show
Yeah.
today. So let's know,
There's
Zita.
there's always so much power in, I think, people coming together to share, whether it's message or story, there's a medicine in it, and connecting with others and normalizing things, and having really good discussions, like raw, honest discussions, is a really liberating experience, and can be really gentle and loving as well.
Absolutely. Now, what I'm going to do is just to bring myself down to, because there was this panic mode as we were having glitches in the system. So what I do is use our oils, and I've decided to pull out my Valor. Now, Zita and I were hopping on this morning and just having a bit, sharing how we're feeling. Are we ready to roll and that sort of thing? I said, get your Valor out.
It
And
did help a lot.
Valor
Thank you
is the
for having
oil.
me.
Beautiful. So you can simply get your Valor out. You can cross your hands together like this, or put it, excuse me, put it on your wrists and just sit very quietly. And if you are watching, if you are listening, if you are tuning in, you can just sit very quietly and just take a breath, take a notice of your body, take a notice of the energy around you, and bring yourself into your heart space. Activate your heart space and bring your energy down just below your navel and activate that area there, the power center of your body. And you can also activate your mind. So if you have a little light globe perhaps in your mind, in your heart, or just below your navel, and bring those three energy centers into alignment. See how strong they feel. If you can't feel one of those, bring your attention to it and give it a little bit of a sense of an energetic sense of flicking on a little switch. Or maybe you could even place a little candle and light those, and then connect your energy with Mother Earth. Earth. This core body and ignite the energy that we, and it looks like we might have another glitch in the system.
Yeah, it's
I know
glitchy.
you're back again for me.
Yep.
Very glitchy today, so please bear with us. We will keep glitch goes not quite.
Yeah. And Karen's written that Vala's her go-to when she's stressed. And mine too, but I've been forgetting to use it for a little while. And Kay reminded me this morning, so I've got a lot of tension in my neck, and for me that's where my anger stores. And I put it on and I can feel the ease straight away, which is really nice. And it's amazing how
We're going to have to see a lot of people using it.
how they work. Not too sure who's frozen. It looks like Kay's frozen on the live, but not me. So maybe I'll do a bit of talking. So I'd like to thank Kay again for having me on. And Inner Threads, my business name, is an important name to me because it is a representation of, the threads of life that we weave together to pave our fabric in life. Also, sorry, have fellow. Oh, good on you. Oh, you want to reschedule, okay? All right, cool.
So what's happening? I'm back in.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh, how
I was just talking about the business name, and like what you were saying before, that the threads part is about how we can weave our fabric of life. Through our wisdom and our knowledge, we can intertwine all of the things, and we weave our fabric in life. And the inner part is, it's like, what are your inner threads, and what do they need to be matched up with, or what do you thread with them with, and stitch things together. And being in alignment and feeling like you're not is also about not recognizing the signs that you are. Like, it can be sometimes an expectation that you have of what it should be looking like or feeling like, or what you might be expecting to experience when you are in your ideal alignment. And when that's happening, you're not seeing where you are in the alignment. And there's a lot of power in acknowledging where you actually are at and being honest with it, because from then you can actually work with it. And if you're not being present with it and sitting with it, or maybe avoid acknowledging it, or just having no consciousness of it at all, like brought, to the forward part of your mind, then you just can't work with the things. And when you listen to someone talk, you can hear their inner threads and where they're at and what they're going. And I'm a really big fan of people doing their own work and directing people into themselves, into their own inner threads, to their inner listening and knowing and soul or higher self, and all of those beautiful places that we can access because we have a human body. We can access all these different realms and dimensions and languages from energy and imagery, and there's just so much there for us to see and experience and explore and understand. And it's amazing. And I know, like myself, that only people I pick as a mentor, I do have a little bit of a list, and that's someone that walks their talk, that's come out the other side of what they're sharing and teaching. They live it. And also that they direct me to go inwards. They can give me some tools to then go inwards in. So I think there's like 4 states, and let me see if I can explain this right. So you're either on the outside of yourself, seeing and gathering information and then taking it in to validate, or you're experiencing things and seeing things on the inside and you go to the external world to validate. And the first one is the one that's far more satisfying, and a lot of those cliche sayings and philosophies can come into with, what other people think about me is none of my business, and like little empowering sayings like that will work well with that state when you're inside doing your own validating and not externally validating. External validation does have its role as well, though, when it's on purpose. So it's really, I think we're just lucky to have a human body. We're lucky to experience emotions like we do. And I think we can spend a lot of our lives feeling a lot of guilt and a lot of shame or resentment, or what can we say? What's the word? Just resisting feelings and emotions. And that can be made up of a lot of different experiences of your life, like in childhood and all sorts of things. And I think as I've grown older and as I've facilitated more women's circles and been a part of other people's women's circles and things like that, when opening and the sharing, it opens up a space to kind of really normalize and get rid of the shame and the guilt, and have wholesome experiences in beautiful held spaces, and realizing too that your emotions are guides, they're tools. They don't always necessarily mean the truth, but they can guide you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and so even if you're really escalated in like what some people would deem like a positive emotion, that's still being out of balance. And equally to the other degree, you're experiencing the not so pleasurable of what's going on. But in a human body, we can only see a polarity of one thing, at a time. But the two things are happening simultaneously, which creates the whole experience. So when you look at an experience and you can see the balance, what's happening that's not so good, what's happening that is so good, you're somewhere in the middle seeing that and exploring the two places.
It made me think of a seesaw, so that you don't want your seesaw to be too up or too down. You want to level. The idea is to bring yourself back to a state of a state of alignment or equilibrium. And that, as you say, that is a journey. And I love how you acknowledge the truth of the fact that we do have our highs and our low, and we need to recognize, we need to accept where we're at in order to move on. When I'm working with people, when I'm working with people, Valor is the oil that I use to help us to just bring ourselves back to a state of peace and calm, but to give us that empowerment, because when we've got to that place of empowerment or feeling stable, that's when we can then move in the direction of where we really want to go. But if we don't acknowledge where we're fully at and be honest and real with ourselves in that sense, well, in a way, we're kidding ourselves, or we're duping ourselves, or we're not being honest with, hey, this is where we're at. I think some people often call it spiritual bypassing. So you're actually bypassing.
That's been such a big word. Last year, it was a huge word used a lot.
Yes. So that you're just sort of glossing over things and going, oh, everything's all right, whereas really, and that's maybe what we want to, we feel we need to show the outer world, whereas there's more truth in, no, but this is actually how I'm feeling. Or even naming it up. I mean, even before the show today, you kind of said, look, Kay, I'm feeling really vulnerable, which I thought was fantastic, because that in reality is very empowering for you to say, I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm not sure how I'm going to go. So now what did you do? Because we talked this morning, I touched base to see if you still felt that way. And you took a few steps. I made some suggestions. What did you do to bring yourself back into a state of, hey, I can move forward with this and just accept where I'm at?
I think my wisdom in of having a deep knowing of my experiences with things is to be in balance. The thing is to accept. So when you do accept, you do come into some state of balance, and it can be vulnerable and surrender and acknowledge. And there's a few levels that start to happen and intertwine into the experience and move it forward. So it started by being honest with myself. So middle of the night, not feeling great, not a great night's sleep, all the things. My son peed his bed and, all the stuff. And I'm someone that holds on to tears a lot. And unless I'm talking it out with someone, I don't really tend to let it out and flow and cry. And even then I can be quite reserved. And then last night I made a different decision just to cry, and I was observing my thoughts and feelings and what I was thinking. And then once I started to just be okay with crying, reminded myself, just be okay with it. You need this. And then I was able to take the deep breaths, like which is giving space, like space is coming in. And then I was seeing what was going on for me and what I was feeling. And I straight away, because of accountability, messaged Kay at probably 3:30 in the morning and said, look, I'm not too sure how I'm going to go in the morning. So I had to admit it and have some accountability and responsibility. And I knew that I'd have a conversation with her in the morning about how to flick the switch as well. But the beginning of flicking the switch was being okay with having the emotion, understanding what's going on in the healing patterns that are outlaid in front of me at the moment, and seeing things for what they are and actually where I'm at. And then I was able to convey that honestly to Kay. And then I was reminded of a few things like my Vela, which I hadn't used, and I saw it yesterday and I was like, hey, I haven't used you for a while. Where have you been?
Yes.
You know? And Kay suggested to put some on the back of my neck and to take that tension out. And it did. It worked really well. So I was like,
that's wonderful. Because you were saying that you wanted to go to your chiropractor, and I thought, well, Vala's the bottle of, the chiropractor bottle is what we call Vala. So that's good to hear that you got some good results with that.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better already. And I did put some things on like clary sage and progessence and other things as well. And before we popped on, I did my frankincense just to give me some, a bit of spark to be present and grounded. I find it really pulls me into my body quite a lot. And I also like to kind of put it in my palms like this and like activate it in and kind of hold it on my eyes as well a little bit like that for a couple of minutes. And
do you flick your eyes? Do you do your eye exercises? Because that's what I do when I work with frankincense over my eyes.
Yeah, it's great.
The molecules of the oils get into your eyes, and I know it stings. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's that uncomfortable that you know that it's doing, lots of good for you. So
yeah,
if anyone wants to try that with their frankincense, it's a great idea.
Yeah, and my favorite roller is frankincense and orange. It like comes in my handbag everywhere, and I'm always like temples, back of my neck, grease, and it just the orange sweetens the frankincense a little bit, and then the frankincense sharpens the orange, and it's
nice.
a really, really good blend. Yeah. And so that's like in a 10 ml bottle, and I think I might have put about maybe 5 or 10 drops of each in there with the carrier oil. And I carry it around everywhere. It's a really nice grounding thing. Or while you've started the car up and you're letting it warm up a bit, I just see it in my handbag as I'm, throwing my phone in it and a few things, and I'm like, and I just quickly rub it on. But that's like, I found that to be one of my staples, that combo of orange and frankincense.
That sounds like a good one to try. Now, just speak to the comments. Miranda says, this is a beautiful idea, uplifting conversations. So we love having you with us, Miranda. Thanks for your positive feedback there. And Karen Horton says, emotions, being a full-time carer, I can have them all in 1 hour sometimes. Absolutely. And yes, I need to say it's okay to be in that place at that time. This is why I have so much Vela, as I feel guilty when I feel vulnerable and sad. Well, I love your raw and real honesty there. And that is that old thing of, you're feeling bad because you're not feeling like you're up the top rung of the ladder. It's not sustainable to be on the top rung of the ladder. And for those of us who are empaths, we pick up on energy, which often is not our energy. It's other people's energy. And that's another thing that we need to check in and make sure that we're being protected. So that brings me to what Angelica.
So like having autonomy around being an empath is completely doable, very easy, and a must do for your energetic hygiene is learning how to have autonomy about it and learning about energy and how to direct it and how to place it and things like that is amazing. And then when you combine the oils into doing that with using the intention in that space, it's amazing. It's amazing for you and it's amazing for the other person.
Absolutely. So I've just used some white angelica, and welcome, lovely Jesley Gerwin. Nice to have you here with all your lovely shoes and your love hearts and your big, beautiful energy, the world energy. So, energy of love. She's just at one big love bubble. Lovely, Leslie. So,
Awesome.
white angelica. It's the one that I'll move around my aura and
Yeah.
place it in the area of your shoulders. And my little ritual with this is imagine that your wings are growing, you are expanding, and you are becoming, energetically divine, powerful, and protected. So it is the one that is going to take you flying to a new, higher level, and give you that sense of. I love the smell of white angelica. So to me, it makes me feel like I want to embody the energy of the angels and become an angel in your power and in your vibration.
It's very
So
sweet, like a perfume.
yes, it's a great alternative to a perfume, absolutely. Now, we touched on a few things earlier. Zita, you were talking in your story about how it is a bit of a challenge for you to cry and to allow yourself to do that release. So release is the oil which will help you to release those emotions. And it's so important because if we I just wonder, have you ever done any regression therapy or delving into what you find crying hard about? Because that's sort of something that triggers my
Yeah.
curiosity, because there would be a key for you there, I would
Yes.
suggest.
There's medicine in it. There's medicine to knowing that. So when you become aware of it, you don't go, well, that's just how it is, and accept it. If you, even though you don't know that uncharted area, just I invite people to be curious and go, it's hard for me to cry. I wonder why that is. And if you feel the resistance, you can just go, it's okay, I'm just being curious. And then
Yes.
from there, you can kind of go, I might just explore it a little bit and have a bit of a peek and just nudge in and just gently talk yourself around, asking yourself some quality questions too, like what is the emotion in that? What's your opinion, your judgment of you, and what's the emotion connected to that? This is all going into your own inner threads where there's a bountiful less amount of information. When you can tune into yourself and asking the right quality questions, you're going to get really good quality answers and physical body responses. And oils are really good to kind of get you into a space and ground you in and support you through that process. So when you're getting curious about it and you're kind of naming things, and you can name the emotion, and then you can do things like, when was the first time I felt that emotion, and how old was I, and what was going on at that time? Because from that point onwards, the wall went up or something changed in you. And then exploring just before that first experiencing that feeling of wholeness, and bringing all of that through all of the times and the scenes until now as well, and seeing it and disconnecting out of all of the times when you made whatever you thought in that moment and decided to be, or how you decide to see the world, can be changed, and see it all from a different whole point of view. Because from that point, you start building the story to keep reinforcing and making it true. And everyone's experienced that. I think everyone can relate or look back to parts of their lives, especially when we're upset, or say here's an easy example. Say if you have a partner and you've had a fight with them, all you can remember is everything they've done wrong. But it's not the truth. You know, I think that's relatable. Yeah, and they're never understanding, or they're never this. But there are times when they are understanding, and there's times when they're not. That's what the truth is.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
But we polarize it. And then that adds into that story of the basket. See, whatever you made true in that moment back in the day that you made true about yourself, and you can explore in there. And learning how to do that is a really good thing, and learning how to do it with someone, to do it wholesomely, is really good too. And it's always nice to be in a woman's circle or with someone that can help you do quality questions. Being seen when you're emotional is amazing. Connection is the number one craving of a human being, like number one. And when you're connecting with someone and they can hear and listen to you, and you're letting and releasing, letting go, being seen and witnessed is extraordinarily healing and supportive and amazing. It's releasing. It's incredible. And some of us struggle silently, and no one knows what goes on for us. And then having someone witness it is such a beautiful feeling, you know, when you have that trusted space and that trusted energy in that is awesome. And to set that up and set the scene requires learning, you know, that going back to the empathic autonomy. And one of the quickest ways you can do that is realizing that when you sit with someone, and one of the things I do is listening. So I do a whole hour of just listening with someone and then letting them know what I'm hearing them say. And doing exploring. So there's no judgment, there's no talking to what they're saying. It's just, it's not a response. It's just a feedback, like, oh, I hear you saying this. Can you tell me more about that? And so to have autonomy with your empathicness, because when people cry, we can easily cry with them, is one thing you do is just like breathing. Just breathe and let that energy go back to that person, and your energy stay with you. And we can't transmute other people's energy through ourselves. So we can't deal with problems for them. It's an inner thing. And if you give that energy back, then it keeps that pressure there for them to perturbate and grow and move forward and not stay as well. They have a better chance at doing that. And also realizing that when you sit with someone and you're doing healing, you're not giving away your own light. You're not giving away your own energy. You can breathe in and be present and ask energy however you do it. A lot of people open space, use smudge sticks. There's a whole world of things out there, and oils. There's beautiful, like the oils of the script and things like that Young Living have, that are amazing for opening up space and doing release work. And there's the oil release as well. There's the oil grounding, and just setting up the space and the tone, and then having an intention. So Kay is huge on intentions. Like every time you hear her talk live, she'll talk about intentions. So when you're using energy with an intention, like you're opening up a space with the intention of safety, or the person's wish to release in that energy, and my intention is to be here and bear witness, and then using the oils to support that with intention on those as well, the experience is next level. It is different. And it's just like, wow, like it's like the energy is really together and really focused and really on point and very directed. And having autonomy is a really beautiful way to share space with someone and not take each other's stuff on board. It's really, really beautiful to have relationships in that way. And if we, you know, a lot of us are empathic, and if we're feeling people too much, some of that can be like shadow empathic stuff as well going on, and it can be more about you than the other person. And
And it can also take the other person's it can dilute
yeah,
their process, because I
yeah,
love what you're talking about, sitting and witnessing. When I did or when I do the art of feminine presence work, we actually witness each other in a we form a circle and or a semicircle, and one stands
mm,
at the front of the semicircle, and we do a beautiful rocking motion, a pelvic rocking motion. And I put a hand in a heart and our other hand on our just below our solar plexus on our sacral chakra, and just embody this feminine rocking, and to have women witness you. And then at the end of that, uh, the observers give us feedback, and
mm,
it is the most amazing thing, because the feedback is always positive, and it's always um, uplifting. It's always empowering, and they can see. It's like they can see what's happening in your soul, really. So they're observing energetically, and the most amazing things come out of that. And when we do the art of feminine presence work, we always, like, for example, when I'm in a healing circle with other people these days, I don't tend to want to rush over to save them. That's not what it's about. It's about
mm,
allowing and holding space so other people can just be who they are and experience their feelings, and just let that flow with ease and
yeah,
grace. And I
amazing.
just want to speak to Karen Horton's comment. I feel if I cry, then I'm weak. Uh, and it's easier to stay angry or upset. But I do know if I allow myself to cry, grab an oil, settle myself, I do feel better. And then thank you for today. You ladies are right where I am. Thank you, which is lovely. Thanks for your beautiful comments there.
Yeah, that's
Um,
beautiful honesty, Karen, because I think everyone can relate to that, because I think it's
yes,
really normal that we feel that way. Like, and I think talking about and opening up is such a healing, amazing thing. So I take my hat off to you, because it is a topic. Like, that is an actual issue that we have, of that judgment of ourselves. Everyone is doing it. And talking about it and getting out there creates the change in that and in ourselves.
exactly. And the
And
more we allow ourselves to cry, what I find is, as time goes on, I don't so often feel that need to have that deep release as much as I have in the past,
yeah,
because you just allow yourself to sit in the sadness and let the tears flow, and that there's not such a high and low on that seesaw effect that we were talking about.
yeah,
You feel a lot more balanced. I mean, of course, there will be times where that upheaval will come across me and wash across me again, I'm sure, in the future.
yeah.
You never know what we're going to experience, but allowing yourself. So I would be looking, and I couldn't quite find my oil surrender, but surrender. Let's surrender to the
Yeah,
highs and lows of the emotions, the grief, and
yeah,
but also the elation. And I love going to the USA, because I love the Americans, because they express their joy in a way that we Aussies find a lot more challenge, I believe. And people, I've heard people say, "Oh, they're arrogant, they're all over, they're full of themselves," or whatever. But I find that that is very empowering, that the American people, I know when I go on Young Living trips, and you hear them talking in the corridors or in the lifts, or even on stage, and or whatever your conversation is about, they can express their joy and they get excited. Whereas Aussies are more, she'll be right, we're right, yeah, I'm having a good day, yeah, I'm kicking back. That's kind of more our culture here. But I'd love to see Australians get more excited uh, and show their joy. I think that's
yeah,
so empowering. And Leslie says, "Oh, I love resistance and love nudging in."
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And one thing that I've been reminded of, like this morning after a conversation with a good friend of mine, as well as just remember to trust the process. I think when you do feel emotional, especially when there's tears involved and you can feel it so intensely, there's a few things that reminding yourself of, and it's a good thing to have written down or have a good friend that's going to remind you of those things. So it's not someone's going to listen, but not buy into your story, but going to listen and support and redirect you back into you to go, oh yeah, you know. And I'm lucky enough to have that twice this morning. And so one of the things
I had a cackle because when I saw your message, I thought, oh, she'll be right in the morning. We'll just have a chat. She'll be right. She's not going to, you know, like, and I just had a little bit of a cackle to myself. I didn't freak out and think, oh my gosh, you know, it's all going to fall apart. I just went, oh yeah, it was just a bump in the road. And
you're like one of the most solid people I know like that. You're just like, it's going to be how it is. And like you just trust it, and every time, however it turns up, it's really good. I think one thing to remember is, and write this down as well, is, oh, Jackie, hello.
Oh, Jackie, I'll read Jackie's comment. Hold that thought. Tears release deep pain and grief. We are expected to keep our emotions in check. That's a reflection on how others want us to feel. In control, moderated, not divulging too much. So true.
And it's really empowering to open up and feel safe in it. Like feeling safe in you is one thing, but I think sometimes it starts with having it in a safe environment, and then like building it up with trusted people, and then being able to trust you and yourself and your emotions once you understand them. And quite often when we're feeling them quite intensely, like I was in the middle of the night, is a good thing to remember is, and something to write down is, when they feels like you can't handle that feeling anymore, it's just the peak, and on the other side of that is a different experience. And I do let my son have his full emotion if he's upset and stuff. I make sure, look, I'm here and you're okay and all of that. And I go, just remember that you don't feel so good at the moment, but just remember every other time that you have experienced this emotion, you've also calmed down. So just know that that's on the other side. And there's always a chaos before, you know, the order. And they say when you hit the peak, if you just hang in there with it a bit longer, what you're looking for is around the corner kind of thing. And
I love that.
Like, you are safe, even though there's a huge intensity in the emotion that you feel. Like, you are safe. And that's something that I've learned through the last couple of years. I did this course called the Inside Out Love Story with Fleur. Oh, it was Fleur Porter then, but she's married now, Fleur Thompson. She's in Geraldton in WA. And she does some mini courses sometimes. And through the first lockdowns, I did one called Pivot. And that was the first time I had an experience of actually holding myself, where I was just journaling. And I was journaling from a point of view of watching myself in my emotion. What was I doing? How was it being? And at the end of it, I found myself writing, I'm here waiting for her to hug her. It makes me feel emotional. Anytime she needs it, whenever she's ready. And in that moment, I really experienced this shift through my heart space of what it means to be there for yourself and how you can hold yourself. And from that moment onwards, I've been so much better at handling my emotions and carrying them, and things have come into my life to keep supporting that, and including like using oils. And it's just been a real different experience of shifting and holding myself. Even like I was speaking to one of my friends who's watching at the moment this morning about it, and like I was able to articulate and be accountable, a little bit sooky. But it was like I wasn't panicked as such, as in, like, you know, you kind of get sick of feeling the way you do and a bit frustrated, but I wasn't panicked, and I haven't been panicked. Like, so the old me before those experiences would have been like, oh my God, I'm upset. I need to ring 15 people and I've got to tell everyone what's going on, to try and find that soothingness and the resolve. But since I had that moment of that pivot, it's I can come into myself and do the self-reflection. But from then, when I'm like, I want to be able to do more of that and do that deeper and do that for people, things started coming and turning up in my life, like coming across you and the oils and what led up to that as well. Just so much. So lovely to see you here, Jackie. Jackie is amazing. She is such an amazing artist in many ways and a beautiful person inside and out. And she's someone that always says, I'm here for you anytime. She's lovely.
And Jackie would know full well, because she's got a lot of her own family trauma and unresolved things that she's dealing with. So she would be, you know, that's the thing. We need each other to hold each other up and to support the space. And as we know, the world over the last couple of years changed dramatically, and changed dramatically for many of us who made different decisions to, you know, other people. And there was, you know, quite a division in many of our families. And I know for us, some, you know, part of my relationship with people like you is that we made decisions that were similar, and we were, a new community was born from that, a new community of people. And there are so many people who lost or have had some distance between what's going on in their families due to decisions they've made. And, you know, just the
a lot of conflict.
A lot of conflict in the last few years. And, you know, there is so many people I know who have lost connection with their family, and they need the support of other people and need that. It's okay. I get that you feel devastated, but I'm here for you in whatever way I can help you facilitate. Just want to read Leslie's comment. We can meet feelings are our victim feelings, and so okay to bless us all when felt. Witness they feel safe to just rest as part of each of us, and have potential to mysteriously change and transcend into peace, which is what happens. I love how you've kind of threaded that in your comments there, Leslie, because it is something that is very empowering once we start managing these things. And I want to bring into your relationship with Keely. You touched on that, because I did that I let my children express their emotions, and sometimes I think, oh my gosh, did I do the wrong thing? But I wanted them to be a lot freer than what I was. That was the bottom line. And it didn't mean parenting was any easier.
No, it's like being okay with their own emotions, because like we would have had experiences with our own parents, and our parents are parents because of like, and the way they are because of their parents and so forth. It's like, come on, you don't do that around people. If you're going to cry, go to your room, or like just little things. It's like, if you're going to cry, get away from me. Like, so that it can start like that for some people, is not feeling safe to cry. So you shut down, or there's no one there to hold you while you're crying, or whatever it is when you're young. And we want that different for our kids to know, don't panic, you are safe. And this can be an incredible tool for you to unpack and use. And it's, you know, be in alignment with yourself is to like experience it all, and learning how to feel safe in yourself to do that when we've been taught otherwise.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, in my, you know, many years teaching, I kind of discovered this turning point of, if children hurt themselves or they came crying to you, you just acknowledge them. Or if they were angry, oh, I can see you're feeling really angry at the moment. And then they kind of, there's this response within, oh, someone's heard me, someone gets me, or oh, you just, or I'll say, oh gosh, you just need to have a big cry and, you know, let it all out. And I don't think, you know, kids are necessarily used to that. It's because, you know, as mums, come on, darling, I'll give you a tissue. Oh, you poor little thing. Whereas why do we want to smother them in that, that Band-Aid of let's put a Band-Aid on it and fix it?
Yeah.
It's better off
Like
to say,
giving the courage to feel their pain,
yeah,
and to
exactly.
experience it. Like with Keely,
Yeah.
I come up, if he's fallen over or I hear him
Mm.
screaming, and he's like, because he's got heightened emotions because he has
Yes.
ASD, so regulation is like an issue with him. So when I say I'll let him have his full emotions, I don't let him go off troppo, and like it stays within a manageable range of balance as possible and allowing as possible. So he might come screaming up to me, but he knows he can. Like, I love the fact he knows that if he's feeling a certain way, I can go up to my mum, because if he didn't feel like he's going to get any comfort in that, he wouldn't come up to me. So he does come up to me, and I go, "Hey, go on, mate." I go, "What's happened?" And I hold him tight a little bit, and he'll tell me. I go, "Oh, I see, cool." And I go, "Oh, so what are some solutions we can do, like with this, or getting thinking about it?" Because say if he's upset, normally it's because he's not feeling like he can participate in something fully because of what's another kid said, or whatever it may be. And you go, "Oh, well, remember that you don't have to believe other people if they have a different opinion, or it's okay for them to say that," and you just go, "I believe something else," and teaching him how to manage and navigate the situations. But say if he's hurting himself, I go, "Was it ouchy or scary?" And he'll tell me which one it was, or he'll go both. And I go, "Oh, okay, yep, no worries, I can understand that. Do you want me to look at your knee or whatever?" And he'll go, "No." And then he gets up and he goes.
Yeah,
He needs
that's right.
10 seconds. And he'll never carry on for 5 or 10 minutes or a minute even. He just needs 30 seconds.
Yeah. And it's better than a Band-Aid because it actually works. It's got to the core of his inner sense of who he is. And
and in that moment, it's like connection, acknowledgement, and he acknowledges it. He says it. I don't tell his words for him. He'll go, "All right, I'm feeling accepted in this state. I've been acknowledged. I've been witnessed and heard. I'm sorted. See you later." Like, it can be that simple with him. Oh, I don't know if it's frozen again. Oh, I think it has. Thanks, Jackie, and likewise. Another story I can share, if people can hear me, is in one of the private groups I've got that Jackie's in. We do a Sunday cuppa, and recently someone that used to participate in that has passed away, and she was someone that would turn up in that group. And the idea of the group is, when we do a circle style sharing in that Sunday morning cuppa, is that people can share, but we don't respond, and the circle is the teacher and we don't respond. So what can happen is, say with this person who had recently passed, sometimes you can have the experiences where people like speak for you, and she would turn up and she would cry and sometimes scream out like, "Lord, why do you do this to me?" or "Life's punishing me," and the things that she would come out and say. And we would just sit there and just let her go. And she goes, "I'm so sorry, I don't mean to be heavy," but for us that knows the autonomy of empathy, so you don't feel bogged down and connected into heavy energy, and that you can just be witness to it and allow it and go, "This is where you're meant to be. However you turn up here is perfect. And you are safe here to share." And it does, and that's it. And that was her safe place to come and do that. And it was good for her to be around people that had that autonomy around their empathy. She just wanted to be seen and heard, because she sat at home alone a lot and she was gravely ill. And it's the worst thing in the world is to feel invisible to people, or be shut out, or no one can see me or see what I'm going through. And it's like a terrible way to feel. So and that was a place with her. So when people are in a state of doing their sharing as well, it can be something that you'll find wisdom in, or a kinship in, And it can be like, wow, that person is speaking for the many, because I guarantee you that the person that was sharing like she did, she was saying everything that we're all too scared to say and sound like,
Exactly.
and show up
Exactly.
like
Yes.
everyone wished that they could have screamed like that, in those times of pain. And when you go, I don't know why God's punished, we've all felt like that, but she
Yeah.
went there,
I
and it
can
was just
remember
so
at,
amazing.
at one of my peak times when I had some trauma, and it was over a relationship. I was in my marriage, and I'll be roaring real. My husband had gone off down the road and found delight in someone else's bed. And I went around there and knocked on the door, and I knew he was inside, and they wouldn't open the door. It was horrible what I was going through. And I remember standing there because I knew they were inside. They turned the lights off and pretended they were, and it was just like, this is ridiculous. And I just did a primal scream, and this amazing guttural scream. And, and then the door opened, and out come the lady and said, oh, would you wake the neighbors, And I went, who cares about the neighbors? You're having an affair with my husband. and it was so empowering for me to release that, that I could laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
at the time I couldn't. That releasing of that guttural sound, and I didn't care who heard, because I'm sure everybody around knew exactly what was going on anyway, and they were probably talking about them behind their back. But it's it's very. I can laugh about it now, but it was one of the catalysts for me to tap into that deep part of who I am, and to look spiritually at life, and it was what actually set my journey into spirituality and transformation. And eventually, like you, I came across the oils that took everything to a whole other level. Now,
Yeah.
Leslie says, thanks, Kay. That's what I do. Cosmic geometry. I take that broken vase and show how shattered pieces are valid equally as we put pieces back to fresh new vase. Different, but the same. You gals rock, and oils just make life feel better. Fantastic. And we have the lovely Jackie. Thank you, Zita. Bush love, and yes, Kay, the likes of finding you and Zita as genuine, caring women in this painful space has helped me enormously. So, and that's what I find. Someone a while ago said to me, Kay, don't ever, 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 ever stop doing what you are doing. And in the back of my mind, I'll sit here or I'll kind of go, I haven't got a big audience. What am I doing? Is it a waste of time? These things come through my mind. But really, we don't know who we're going to touch and when we're going to touch them. And that's really what we are on about with having an uplifting conversation, because I know that we are, people who are involved in the change, and the change of making sure that we all become empowered, particularly for me as a woman, because I wasn't empowered, and I was walked over, and I was the doormat. And did I want to stay in that place? No, I didn't. Was it easy out of that place? No, it wasn't. Did I manage it? Yes, I did. And the same would be for you, Zita, in all things that you've had in front of your journey. And we are about up to our hours up, and I feel like there's so much more that can be said. So I will be inviting you back on, Zita. You've got so much to give, and thank you for bringing your inner threads here today. And I know that you sort of
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, I know that you didn't know whether you could talk or cry, but
yeah, I was like,
you didn't
maybe I'll
cry,
just cry today,
and yeah, and it doesn't matter anyway. But you
no,
didn't,
and I
so
thought, you know what, I'll just show up crying if I do,
yes,
because
yes,
it's totally okay. And I think that, like that person was in the Sunday Cup, as I was talking about when Kay Frozen jumped off and jumped back in, is that sometimes you are the voice of the many. Like, some people go, man, I'm feeling like that, or I felt like that. Like when you have the courage just to show up, people can just feel so normalized by it. And it's like, don't ever underestimate it, you know, that like the power it has. Oh, Asha, you are there. So Asha is one of the people I was talking about today. And she's one of the most amazing women that I know as well. And yeah, I think Asha's someone that will give me time but redirect me back to me.
That's
and you go,
beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's really special to have people in your life that can do that. Like they can see your story, they can see whatever, but they won't like talk to the story. They're talking to like you.
You don't have to buy into the story. You just have to buy into where to from here. What's the next step?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I do actually in the listening space.
Healing arena know how important that is.
Yeah. And when I do a listening consultation or session with someone, I should say, that's what you're doing. Like you're sifting through the story and you're finding the bits. And so when you do that part where you go, what I hear you saying is you're talking to the core bits and stuff, none of the story. And sometimes people need to go with it all. And then you go in 2 or 3 words or a few sentences, go, is this like, this is what I hear you saying? They go, oh, yes, you know, and they feel heard, but they just try and cover it all and say all of the bits and all of the things. And I think it's a nice human experience to have. And yeah, I'm lucky. And I'm very lucky this morning to have both you and Asha. And it's so nice to see Jackie jump on as well. That's so amazing. I think Kay's frozen again. Well, it's Friday. And I hope everyone has a good Friday and enjoys this conversation that we've been having today. Like I was saying before, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to turn up however it is I turn up today, with no expectation or pressure on myself, and just be a real human being and turn up like one, in short. So I will say, yeah, that's right, Leslie, that's it. I will say thanks so much for watching, and if anyone has any questions, please comment or feedback or anything like that, please do so. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Asha. That means a lot, and you too. I love the way that you show up as well.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. It seems I've popped back in again after popping in and out. So thank you, everyone. We must go. Our hour's up. We've really enjoyed today's conversation. Thank you, Zita, for being so brave,
thanks everyone,
and for bringing yourself back into inner alignment.
Yeah, thanks, Kay, and thanks everyone for holding the space.
Okay, lots of love. Bye.